Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Today we are looking at a case out of Hayward, California. It is an old one, but what makes it interesting and different is that although the abduction of Michaela Joy Garish took place in November 1988, a suspect was only arrested in 2020 and will only appear in court this year, more than 30 years later. But is the case really solved? Let's take a look. Michaela was abducted from a Rainbow Market parking lot in Hayward on the 19th of November 1988. She was only 9 years old at the time. It was broad daylight and Michaela was trying to retrieve a friend's scooter. It was a Saturday and the two girls rode their scooters to the Rainbow Market. The girls left their scooters at the front door and went inside. When they left, they started walking home, forgetting about the scooters. Realizing what they've done, they turned back, only to find that the one scooter was missing. Michaela spotted the scooter further into the parking lot near a parked vehicle. She went to retrieve it. As she bent down to pick the scooter up, a white male got out of the car, picked her up with his right arm around her waist, and put her in the car. When Michaela screamed, her friend Katrina looked up and saw what was happening. Katrina ran into the store to get help, but it was too late. The abductor took off. A female clerk phoned police immediately. Unfortunately, law enforcement worked on a 911 transcript of a description given by the store clerk who had misunderstood Katrina and mistook the abductor for someone she herself saw earlier driving in the parking lot. So for 2 days, the wrong description went out to the public. Katrina was, however, the sole witness of the abduction, and she described the man as having severe acne and pockmarks on his face. He had shoulder-length, dirty blonde hair and was around 6 foot and slender. According to Katrina, he wore a white t-shirt, and according to Katrina, he drove a large four-door sedan, cream or tan in color, and had a bashed-in front bumper. And indeed, the car was seen speeding south on Mission Boulevard towards Union City. Sketches of Michaela's abductor were distributed along with missing persons flyers within 24 hours of her kidnapping. The national media got involved and her case was reviewed on the documentary series Unsolved Mysteries and others. But the case remained unsolved until the discovery of J.C. Dugard, who was held captive by Philip and Nancy Garrido for nearly 20 years. This brought renewed hope and interest in Michaela's case, and Philip Garrido was even interviewed about Michaela's abduction. In 2012, Wesley Shermantine, a convicted serial killer who, together with his accomplice Lauren Herzog, was known as the Speed Freak Killers, was indeed suggested as possible subjects, mainly because he, Lauren Herzog, looked so much like the sketch of Michaela's abductor. Herzog, however, committed suicide in January 2012, and it was only after his suicide when Shermantine suggested that he could have been the killer. Even Katrina thought that it could be the man she saw. Law enforcement began excavating a well where Shermantine and Herzog disposed of their victims. Thousands of bone fragments, which was later found to have belonged to 5 different victims, were indeed recovered. However, by the end of 2012, DNA testing proved that none of it belonged to Michaela. On December 21st, 2020, the Hayward police and FBI arrested David Mish for the kidnapping and murder of Michaela after he was linked to the crime via a fingerprint left on the scooter at the abduction site. Mish had been in prison for 30 years after being convicted of the murder of a 36-year-old woman in 1989. He was also waiting for his conviction in the kidnapping and murder of two other young women in 1986. As of 2022, Michaela's remains have not been found. David Mish has also not complied with a request for a DNA swab. Mish's defense attorney says that he is not guilty of Michaela's murder and that the state's evidence is indeed questionable. Okay, guys, so what do you think? Do you think that Mish was indeed guilty? Or do you think that Michaela is still out there and that someone else committed the crime? Okay, so until we meet again for the next one, please take good care of yourselves and each other. Bye.